How much silver is on one silver-plated utensil? How about a full entire set? How about 1,000 pieces? That's right. Today we are gonna find out all different manufacturer brands, how to make your own testing solution, the chemicals that you'll need, things that can go wrong, and things that can go right.
Hey guys, welcome to the Worthless Scrapper. I'm downstairs. I have a fume hood. These chemicals are toxic. You do not want to breathe them in. I do have a mask I can also wear if I feel uncomfortable. I have protection. Always wear protection. Now, while this... So today we will be stripping the silver plating off of 1,000 forks and spoons. Now where do I get all of my silver plated utensils from? Well, I buy sets from estate sales and auctions. So once you source your material, how do you know that it's actually silver plated? I mean, it will tell you on the back that it's plated, but if you really want to know, you can test it with some solution. The solution that I'm talking about, it's called Schwerter solution. I'll throw the recipe up on the screen. It varies depending on the size of the container that you're putting it in. So we're going to put one little drop on it. Give it a couple seconds. You're going to take a clean paper towel, dab it off. If you see red, red means silver. If it's a green or a blue, that's not silver, it's more of a copper brass. So this potassium dichromate, this is what it looks like. It's just these little orange crystals, and I bought this off of eBay. I can't remember what I paid for it. The nitric acid I bought online, and as far as the sulfuric acid, I buy that from Ace Hardware because this is the best stuff I found to use, and it's also the cheapest. So I get a gallon for about $25, and we're going to check this sulfuric acid temperature real quick. You want to only put sulfuric acid in to start, and you want it up to about 180 degrees Fahrenheit. Now hot sulfuric acid will eat right through you, so be careful. Right now we're sitting at about 182.8, so it's about time to add the nitric acid and get started. So with this stripping solution, it's made up of 95 parts sulfuric acid to 5 parts nitric acid. So since I put in 2,000 milliliters of sulfuric, I am going to be adding 100 milliliters of this nitric. Now my nitric acid is 70%. You don't need 70% grade. You can get away with the 67%. I will be adding more nitric as I move along with the process of stripping the silver off. Usually about after 20 pieces, I might add another 10 milliliters of nitric and just keep doing that until this solution is way oversaturated. I don't know exactly how much that will take. I've never done this much at one time. Usually I just do about 100 pieces at a time. So we'll find that out. Science. So I'm going to pour in 100 milliliters of nitric acid. And once I add this to sulfuric acid, it is going to create a reaction, and I need to turn the fume hood on. Now before I add this nitric acid to the sulfuric, in this container I have distilled water. Do not use anything but distilled water. The salt in tap water will ruin this process. You do not want that to happen. I have a rinse container number 2, and then I have an empty bucket to throw the silverware in when it's all done. I'm going to turn the fan on and pour this in slow. Kind of want to get it mixed in there good. You can stir it with the glass rod if you need to. Definitely don't want to be breathing that stuff in. Now the tongs I'm using are non-magnetic stainless steel. Only use non-magnetic. I grab them with the tongs, set them in slow. You'll see how it turns white almost instantly. I don't know if that's picking up on camera. You want to be very careful. This stuff splashes on you. It's not good. What I do is I take my tongs and I'll set them in a beaker just so the sulfuric acid can drip into that's left on it. Now some of these are reacting quicker than others. Let me see if I can get you in there real fast. So they turn white and then it will turn like a purple color, and that's the silver plating being completely stripped off. Once that process is done and the color changes to like a brown or a yellow, I move them to the rinse container. You'll notice like every piece is different. That's why it's usually good to kind of do the same set together, because it's probably plated the same. My stuff's all mixed up. So once you get a piece that turns like a dark dullish gray like this, want to get that sulfuric acid, nitric acid off. Quickly rinse it in your rinse water. Shake it off. Go to your other rinse bucket. Rinse it off. One down, 999 to go. Alright, so that's basically the process. You just keep doing that over and over and over again. You want to make sure you do not get water into this hot sulfuric nitric mix. It can have a reaction. That one changed purple quick. The longer it stays white usually means the more silver that's on it, which is always a good thing, right? You do not want to let them sit in this first water bath for too long. So let's throw this on a time lapse, and if something crazy happens, I'll come back. Alright guys, so I've ran about 1 1/4 buckets, and I need to right now empty these containers and start with a fresh batch of acid. What happens is the acid becomes oversaturated and you can't fit any more silver into the solution. I'm actually getting silver cement in my last rinse bucket, so that tells you there's quite a bit of silver transferring through. Because I've had pieces sit in there for like 15 minutes and it barely strips anything off. I don't want to keep adding nitric acid because I'm just losing money that way. So what we're going to do is empty this rinse container into this rinse container. And then once this cools down a little bit where I can pick it up, I'll pour that into here. And then we have to neutralize the nitric acid. Now to neutralize the acid, we're just going to use some sulfamic acid crystals. You can get this at Home Depot. Good old Home Depot. We're going to pour some boiling water into a little beaker. And then we're just going to add a couple spoonfuls of the crystals. So I'm just going to stir this up till those crystals dissolve. Now you do not want to add this directly into your hot acid. You need to add the acid to the water first. So I'm going to turn the fume hood on just in case this puts off any vapors. These copper bars have been sitting in that solution overnight. You just want to spray them off. I mean, I'm going to be reusing these bars, so it doesn't have to be perfect. Just going to set this over here in this container. Now, when I filter this solution out, it's going to go into this container. So if there is any excess silver nitrate, it will cement out in that bucket. I just like to use these. It makes it a lot easier for my rinse system that you'll see here in a second. I'm just going to give this a good stir, get everything mixed up. So while that's settling, I want to talk about this. The other day, I originally started doing this outside because this fume hood isn't large enough to do 2 separate baths. I can't fit it all in there. So I built a little lab outside. And everything was going fine, except for bugs kept landing in the acid. I couldn't control where the fumes were going. I had a fan blowing, but the wind just kept changing directions. And then I got to a point where I noticed in my first rinse bucket, a ton of silver cement started forming. Because 1, I let the pieces sit in the rinse water for too long. And 2, some of these are made out of copper. I have never had forks and spoons made out of copper, but you can see all this silver cement that started forming on this and cementing out. So at that point, I decided, you know what, I'll just do it the hard way, do it inside. It's a slower process, but I can control the environment better. So that's why I'm doing it indoors now. So do not leave your stuff in the rinse water for too long, because this can happen and you'll have to end up rerunning this, which I will do. It's unfortunate that it happened, but I did learn something from it, so that's always good to know. So now that story time's over, and this silver cement has had time to settle. It's actually been sitting here for a day now. I filled up this tube with distilled water. I'm going to siphon that solution into this container down here with these 2 copper pipes, because you always have a chance of getting extra silver out of this solution. You just want to let it sit for a couple days or more, and I'm an impatient person. So we're going to siphon this out. Get it down in here. So you want to rinse this with hot distilled water. It helps clean the silver cement the best. And you want to rinse it as many times as it takes till you get rid of all that blue and turn it clear. So let's pour some in. And then I just take this and switch it around a few times and try to get all that cement to settle at one side. And I set this up at an angle, and I slowly rotate the jar to keep all the cement on one side and leave the liquid on the other side, and I can suck it up from over here and not worry about sucking up all the cement. So once I get this solution clear enough, I'll pour it into a baking dish and then I'll dry it out. I use an outdoor oven that I have. I would recommend not doing that in your cooking oven that you use to eat food with. But you can dry it out in the sun, you can just let it sit and dry. It just depends how much time you have. So I'll get this cement dried out. I have some sulfuric acid heating up for another batch. I have 2 more buckets to run. And when I come back, we're gonna take all this silver cement, melt it down and pour a bar. We're gonna go over the cost of the acids, the cost what I paid for the utensils, and hopefully we made some profit. All right, we are done, finally. That took a long time. So I have the silver, I have the scale, but first we're gonna go over the cost of all the materials. Now when I buy my silver plated utensils, they usually come from the estate sales or auctions, and I only count the forks and spoons, and I will not pay more than 50 cents per utensil. Now the knives, I just throw all those in a box and I take those to board sort. They pay $2 a pound for them. I just don't want to risk running it because it's magnetic on the knife part, and I don't want to have a reaction with the chemicals or anything like that. So I figured $2 a pound for something like that, well worth it. So that being said, the utensils alone, $500. So it took 6 different acid baths to strip all of that silver plating off all 1,000 utensils. In each bath, I used 2,000 milliliters of sulfuric, and I would start with 100 milliliters of nitric, but then add 100 milliliters more throughout the process till the solution was way oversaturated. So to take that into account, for all 6 baths, I used $80 of sulfuric acid, and that's at $25 a gallon. Now my nitric acid, it's 4.5 cents per milliliter. So that came out to about $55 total. And now the distilled water, lots of distilled water. I pay $1.39 a gallon, and there's 15 gallons of distilled water I went through. Takes a lot to rinse all that silver cement. So I also took into account the gloves and the electricity. Box of gloves, $15. Electricity, $10. So right now we're at negative $681. Now, I had weighed this baking dish before I put anything in it, so we're gonna subtract this off the total. The scale is zeroed out. We are in grams, by the way. We're at 1474.44. Subtract the container. So that puts us at 741.2 grams, or just shy of 24 troy ounces. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot, but wait, there's more. I melted down a little bar. Now this bar is 312.16 grams. You got 10.03 troy ounces. We're gonna add these two together, and that gives us our total. This did take 30 hours, about 5 hours per batch to do. I would recommend not doing them back to back to back because it's very boring. Just don't do it back to back to back. I spread it out over a week and a half because it's just too much. Now doing a batch once a week, yeah, I would recommend probably doing that. I'm pretty pleased with that. Made quite a bit of profit on it. Plus, I get to take all this brass back. That's $240. That's 80 pounds of brass right there. So that's $240 extra on top of our total. So we ended up with just over 1 gram of silver per plated utensil. And yes, I do know that this is not pure. I had a scan of this done last winter. I'll throw that up on the screen real fast. I will be melting this into shot. I'm just trying to find a more effective way of doing it instead of it getting all clumped together. And I'll be running it through a silver cell along with all my other stuff, probably this winter time. But I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.